This is my newest army. It's an Age of Sigmar army. I've never played Age of Sigmar, although I've got lizardmen and although they're called something else now, and I've got a mostly goblin army with some orcs, though they're called something else now. This is my only properly dedicated actual Age of Sigmar army, and it represents the last batch of anything that I had to put together or paint. So this will be the last sort of thing for a while. If there aren't videos of my stuff, then there'll be pictures of it on my Tumblr, which should be linked in the description below, to coin a phrase. So anyway, to go through this, not the best painted thing in the whole wide world. We'll start with the worst off. This is the unit of Marauder Cavalry. I had no idea what I was going to do with them paint-wise. I detest painting cavalry, I don't know why. And also for some reason I just really botched it with the banner, but by that point I'd given in. They've got weird blue skin, because why not, it worked in Avatar, and pink pants, because the whole theme of the army turned out to be sort of blues and pinks. That was, or blues and reds at least, that was set with not with the leaders of the army, which is what I was going to say. The leaders of the army are the sort of Miyasara from the film Legend, not the Tom Hardy thing, the proper film Legend, you know, with Tim Curry. So she's meant to be Miyasara from that, and then that's meant to be Tim Curry from that. Not a corn demon or anything, just literally Tim Curry. If there were special rules for it to be Tim Curry, then it would be. I don't know how many more times I'm going to say the words Tim Curry. But anyway, that one model pretty much prompted me to get this entire force. And it goes to show how sometimes something that you didn't have an interest in before, you suddenly have an interest in it because just one piece sparks an interest for you. And for me, it was this one model. I also particularly like, and I've mentioned this on things before, that there was although okay, she's not really wearing much and that's disappointing. I'm not even going to get into the Sisters of Battle and the canonically leather corset thing. No. But it's good to have a female character model, and half of this army is female when you look at the torsos. This model I got free on I want to say it was on a magazine. I think it was on a White Dwarf, well it must have been, because I don't buy any of the magazines. And I realised, as much as I like the Sigmarines, and I do, I don't have an army of them. I pretty much at that point had no intention of getting an army of them, so I just stuck a load of chaosy bits on it and turned it into a chaos, because I had no idea how I was going to paint this, so I turned it into a chaos sorcerer type model, and then that sort of gave me the colour scheme for the rest of the army, because I had no idea what I was going to do. There were a couple of things about let me just move him, or her, I guess it'd be him. Move the characters over out of the way, and then there's these things, I don't know what they are, magical lions. I figured that I would paint one of them essentially black and red, and the other one essentially grey and blue, and that they would be like the Ghost in the Darkness from the Val Kilmer movie of the same name, based on a true story, though not exactly like it happened in the movie. So aside from them, what I will say is that the Untamed Beasts and the Corvus, I can't remember what they're called, Cabal, the Corvus Cabal and the Untamed Beasts were the sets that really inspired me the most out of all of them to collect, and they're all pretty good. But when I had put them together, I thought there's a depressing amount of detail on these models. Now most other painters would be like, yeah, look at the detail, that's great, I can really showcase my my talents, and I can really, you know, get to grips with doing a really good job on the model. And for me it was like, I just want them to be sort of tabletop ready, and I don't want to spend the next 4 years painting them. And that wasn't really even the thing. The thing that sort of demotivated me with them was these models are monopose, nothing wrong with that, and they go together in only one way, but that one way, it looks just like sometimes lumps of randomly melted plastic that don't seem to correspond to the instructions that you've been given sometimes. For me at least, these were the single most difficult sets I've ever put together, like ever. And okay, you've got working time because you're using plastic glue, and you've got you know, you can dry fit things and so on, but even these things are so difficult to put together, at least they were for me. They were so difficult to put together, some of them, that even having dry fit them, to then take them apart again to get the glue in, you were running the risk of not remembering how to put them back together. It took me, and I've put together thousands and thousands of models now, it took me 2 entire days just to assemble these. It wrecked my head. That being said, by the time I came to paint them, I couldn't face them anymore, so it took me an awful long time, for me at least, to paint these, and I know that it doesn't show. So that's one of the reasons that the paint job on these is sort of rather basic, because by the time I came to paint them, I just... So in a sense, this is a mixed story. I'm happy that I've got them, and that I can play a game of Age of Sigmar with the Slaves to Darkness army, and I'm super happy that I've got the Tim Curry model. Let's face it, Tim Curry was what this was all about. But it was bittersweet in a way, because this is the last sort of collection, this is the last army that I'm going to add to my collection for a while, and it was a chore. It was really difficult for me to get this together, and it was unpleasant. It was the single most unpleasant experience I think I've had of putting Games Workshop models together, probably since the old metal corn hounds of flesh hounds, the flesh hounds. They were nightmarish to put together, but that was the 90s and we didn't know much better. By the time I came to put the Marauders together, they were like a joy by comparison, because I've put them together before. If you see my large guard army, you'll see loads of these converted into Rough Riders. So they went together lovely, and that was almost like a little holiday. These things, nightmarish. I know that your mileage may vary, but what they have done effectively though is stopped me from collecting a massive army, because I will not be buying any more of these. They're that difficult for me to put together. On the other hand, I still got Tim Curry, so you know, it takes with one hand but gives with the other. Mostly the Tim Curry model. I'm not entirely sure if saying the word Tim Curry over and over and over and over is necessarily welcome. It's just that I loved him in the film so much. Anyway, that was it, really. The next thing, I don't know what it will be, but Noah me, it'll probably be Guardsman. But there we are.